It might not feel like it, but 72 hours is enough time to build a system that can earn $9,000. And if you don't feel that's possible right now, that's because number one, you've never done it before. And number two, you've never had a guide show you exactly what to do and make sure that you don't waste even a single hour. And so that's what I'm gonna do in today's video. I'm gonna break down A to Z the entire system that you would need to generate $9,000. But first, if you're new here, my name is John, husband, father, and online entrepreneur, and founder of AdClients.com. And over the past 10 years, I've generated $30 million on the internet. And I've done that without having to hustle 24/7, sacrifice my personal life, or stop doing the things that I enjoy. And that's what I now help people here on the channel do as well. So that being said, let's break down our 72-hour plan to make $9,000. Step one is gonna take around about 8 hours. And this is creating the offer that we're going to sell. Now, if right now you don't know what you're gonna sell, then I'm gonna break down a very simple formula for creating a high value, high ticket offer in a matter of hours. This is gonna take a maximum of 8 hours worth of planning. If you're watching this right now and you already have an offer, a service, a coaching program, a course, then you're good to go. But you may want to watch this to get a refresher. So the first thing that's really important to talk about is the need to create a digital information-based program around your knowledge, right? Think about it. You've got expertise in your head. You've got life experience that you've gone through. You've got training that you have partaken in, and now you are knowledgeable on that topic. And there are other people that are willing to pay you for that information. Now, to get that information from you, there are different groups of people that are willing to pay more for that information. Some people are freebie seekers. They are spending time on YouTube and on Google, and they never really want to invest in anything. They just want free information. That's fine, but they're not gonna be our ideal clients. You've then got people that have been struggling with a particular problem for a little bit longer. And now they are further along the timeline of desperation, let's call it. And the more desperate they are for a solution, typically the more willing they are to invest in that solution. So now you're starting to get into the territory of people that are willing to pay hundreds of pounds for a solution. Maybe you've been in that boat before as well. You've had a problem that's becoming so annoying and it's going on for so long that you're willing to put your money up front to find that solution. Well, that journey continues. Now imagine there are people that have been struggling for years with the very thing that the knowledge in your head can solve. If that has gone on for long enough, if the desperation has persisted for long enough, that's where you find the creme de la creme clients that are willing to pay thousands of dollars for the knowledge that is in your head. And if we are willing to skip a couple of levels and go straight for that clientele, you get serious clients that are paying you what you're worth. They actually do the work that you teach them to do. Therefore, they get the result. Therefore, you get the success story. And going for these higher ticket clients is in almost every way a better solution. And because we're going to charge a high ticket amount, we're probably going to focus more on giving our time to share that information as opposed to put our information in online training videos. So we can now create something that I call a pop-up offer. The idea here is that we have something to sell in not years, not months, not even weeks, literally hours, a little bit of planning, and we've got something to put out into the marketplace because we're going to focus on giving our time. So how does this look? Well, the first thing you need to understand is that we need to give our new program, our new offering, a time constraint, so that we're going to invite clients to work with us to get the knowledge in our head, but they're going to have a specific period of time. It's going to be 60 days, 90 days, maybe for you it might be 6 months. You need to decide for you to sit across a table from someone or a virtual table, let's say it's on Zoom or otherwise. If you're sharing your knowledge with them week by week and giving them homework and tasks to do and then checking back in with them and seeing how they're getting on, how long realistically would it take for someone to see the result? Because whatever that time frame is, that's what you cap it at. And this is implementing something called Parkinson's Law. Parkinson's Law dictates that the work that you're doing fits the time allocation you've given. Meaning, if you give someone 12 months of coaching with you, guess what? They're going to utilize the entire 12 months to get the same outcome. Whereas if you squished that into 6 months, guess what? They're going to do the work and get the result in 6 months. If you give them 3 months, guess what? They're going to accelerate the priority of your stuff and get it done, and they'll get it done in 3 months. Now, of course, there does have a moment where that shrink can't happen anymore. You can't take what would feasibly take 2 months and have a 7-day program. So you've got to be realistic, but you've got to have Parkinson's law on your mind. So what I might do is I might have a 90-day program, and for many of my clients that I help to achieve this, that's typically where we land, a nice accelerated 90-day process, and that's what we're going for. And then there are 3 things that we're going to offer when someone signs up for our 90-day program. And the first is really simple. We're going to give them weekly one-to-ones, okay? That's the main part of our offer. What they're signing up for is not a membership area, not training videos. They're signing up for you and getting access to you and getting tailored help and support and coaching. So part of the offer is weekly. They're going to jump on a one-to-one Zoom with you where you're going to connect with them, find out what their problem is specifically for them. And then you're going to give your expert advice. You're going to give them perhaps some homework to do. And then they're going to go ahead and implement that, hopefully. And then next week, you're going to jump back on Zoom with them, check in with them, see how they're getting on, give them the next step that they need to implement. The second thing we're going to give them is access to you in between those weekly calls. You can choose an application that you're going to use. It might be WhatsApp, might be Telegram, might be Slack, might be email, but you're going to give them a vehicle where they can communicate with you outside of those weekly calls. This is a really high value add because now they're connecting with you once a week, and while they're implementing what you talked about, they're having the opportunity to text you, to voice message you and ask you a couple of questions, and you can respond back to them as well. And then the third thing that you're going to offer them are resources, okay? You're going to give them cheat sheets. You're going to give them documentation. You're going to give them guides. These are things that you may have pre-prepared if you can think of some immediately, but you're also going to be creating these as you go. So imagine this scenario. You're on a weekly call with Claire, and Claire says, "This all sounds great, John. I'm loving this. Have you got a checklist for that?" And your response is going to be, "I do. I'm putting the finishing touches on one right now. Let me send that over to you in a couple of days." And so Claire says, "Great, that sounds awesome." You jump off. What are you going to do? You're going to go ahead and create a checklist for the very thing you just spoke about, and you're going to send that over to Claire. It's going to be super high value for her. She's getting these resources now that help cement what she learned from you. And now you're starting to build an archive of amazing resources that when new clients join you, you could think about maybe giving them all of your resources up front. So your resource archive is just going to build and build and build. The more clients you work with, the more you find out from these clients what it is that they need. Now, if you're new to this, you may not believe that this is true, but you're going to have to just trust me. A program that's designed like this, that is targeting that creme de la creme client that's at the back end of years of frustration with this problem and desperate for the solution, you can charge thousands of dollars for this. We often recommend to our clients that we find a price point around $9,000, hence the title of this video. If you're feeling a little bit more nervous, then you might go for $4,500. And depending on what you choose, we've got a goal here of landing our first client. We've got a goal here of landing 2 clients to achieve the $9,000 we were talking about. And if you sat there right now saying, "John, you don't understand my industry, my customers, my clientele, they're never gonna pay that. I need to tell you in return." I have heard this so many times, and it's not a surprise to me that you think that. You just don't know what you don't know. I mean, I've got so many stories. One example would be Phil Harris, who teaches electronic dance music and teaches you how to DJ. And when he first became a client with us, he was charging $37 for a DJ course. And he was so resistant to putting his prices up. He said, "John, people in my industry just won't pay hundreds of dollars for a hobby-based business." And I said, "No, they'll pay thousands of dollars. We need to get you on that journey." Long story short, we worked with him for a couple of years, and in that time, he was gradually increasing his price as his confidence went up. And he's now charging $7,000 for a DJ course. Okay? And he's making millions and millions and millions of dollars with that training business. So it's all a mindset play. And if you're ready to just embrace this, then you jump straight in. Now, some of you might be a bit nervous at the idea of having all of that prepared in 8 hours, and I've got you, because there's an extra 12 hours that we're gonna put in here for what I call pre-prep. Because I already knew that you'd be a little bit nervous about the idea of creating something like that and then just taking it immediately to market. So my recommendation for you is to do this. If you've decided on the 90-day time frame, for example, then what you can do is you can imagine who the type of client is that is likely going to be coming to you, and they don't have the result right now, they're unhappy. And then you've got the client out the other end that's very happy because they got the result. Well, you need to map out, what does that journey look like? Where are they right now? What are they struggling with? How are they feeling? What's going on for them? And what are the steps that need to happen to get them to here, where they have the result and they feel amazing? Perhaps think about your experience. What was it like for you? What were the steps to finally get that result? And what we can do is we start to pinpoint what were these key moments, what are these key activities, what are the main things that need to happen, and these start to become the steps. You've got step 1, you've got step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, however many steps it takes, that's absolutely fine. But we're mapping out these markers. Now what can start to happen is these can be week 1, week 2, week 3. So when you have that first weekly one-to-one, we're focusing on the first step there. And we're giving them instructions and things that they need to do to move further along this timeline. And then we meet at week 2 and we implement the next section of stuff. And so rather than diving into these weekly one-to-ones, wondering what the heck you're going to talk about and feeling really outside of your comfort zone, you can already start to pre-plan. Now, it doesn't mean you can't pivot. It doesn't mean you can't tailor the experience to those specific clients coming in, but at least you've got a bit more confidence that when someone does sign up, you know what the rough plan is going to be. Now, this will take about 12 hours, right? Really get with your thoughts on this, open up a Google Doc, start to map out all the things that likely should be spoken about, and then you can start to order that into week 1 through however many weeks you're going to have. And you might even decide off the back of that to start pre-preparing a handful of resources that you can offer your first client as well, if it would make you feel more confident to have some stuff to actually give them immediately upon signing up. So once we've mapped out what our offer is going to be, once we've done a bit of pre-prep to make that happen, then we're going to allocate 4 hours to creating your primary presentation that you're going to be able to put out there into the marketplace to attract these clients. You've probably heard about sales funnels and marketing campaigns, and that stuff's all great, and we're going to talk about that in the next step. But what's most important is what is the message that's going in that funnel, and what is the specific vehicle. We have to present what we have to attract the right people in. The sales funnel is the function that makes that happen, but we have to decide what vehicle we're going to use for the presentation. Now, there's a few different ways to do this. People talk about what's called a VSL, which is a video sales letter. You've got challenges like 3, 5, 7-day challenges. There's loads of different options, but in my testing over the years and tens of millions in revenue generated, I find all of them are inferior to this one primary vehicle that I recommend you start with, and that is something called a webinar. A webinar is a presentation that you invite people to come and learn about a topic, get to know you and your business, and demonstrate the value, demonstrate the knowledge that you have, and then invite them to go further in exploring if becoming a client is a good fit for them. Nothing converts like a webinar. It's super high value and your marketplace will love it. So listen, I've got this incredible webinar framework that we teach our clients. As you can see, it is comprehensive. This is every single step, everything you would need to say in a webinar presentation from beginning to end to turn cold traffic, meaning people that have never heard of you before, into people ready to sign up for your new pop-up offer. Now, I haven't got time to cover this whole framework in this video, so I'm going to give you the highlights, the main things you need to be aware of to create a high converting webinar. But if you want to take this seriously, this is my free gift to you. There's a link in the description box or somewhere around this video to click on that link, tell me where to send it, and I'll get it over to you completely for free. So definitely go ahead and grab your copy of that framework. But what I'll do is I'll give you the core pieces that you need to know. If this is the beginning of your webinar to the end of your webinar, hopefully your line will be a bit straighter than that. That's the start. This is the finish. We break it up into 3 sections, okay? The first section is called setting the stage. And the idea here is that in about 15 minutes at the beginning of your webinar, we're not getting into the specific content yet. We're not teaching anything just yet. We're setting the stage. We're making sure that our attendees realize that they're in the right place, listening to the right person, and that we understand them. Because what a lot of people forget is that if someone registers for your webinar and shows up for your webinar, it doesn't automatically mean that they are going to be sticking around for the whole thing. In fact, sometimes the internet's moving so quick, people are jumping on for 2 minutes, and if you don't grab their attention quickly, they're gone. So don't assume just because they showed up, they're gonna stick around. We have to set the stage. So we do that by hooking their attention, by saying things that are really exciting and attention grabbing and demonstrating that we understand them and the problem that they have. And then it's our chance to tell a little bit about our story. And by sharing a story, we connect with the audience and we again allow them to resonate with us. And in so doing, it demonstrates that we get them because our story is probably a little bit reflective of the current journey and story that they are living in right now. So there's a bunch of key things that we need to do in the setting of the stage, and it's all in that framework that you can get free access to. But that's the first part, is setting the stage. The next part is the content, okay? We do need to have some content in this section, and this is going to be around about 20 minutes, okay? 15 minutes and 20 minutes. And in that content, we're gonna break it up into 3 pieces. So we're talking about 6 or 7 minutes per piece. 3 things that you can share with your audience that I like to call wow, not how content. The idea here is that you're not sharing with them specifically how to do something, because that's going to come in your coaching program. That's coming in your pop-up offer. That's coming in the service that you provide. But you want to give them wow-based moments. You want them watching your webinar, watching your content going, wow, that makes sense. Wow, that's exciting. Wow, that's interesting. I want to learn more. I want to go deeper on this. I'm trusting this person now. This is sounding great. So you need to have 3 things. 1, 2, 3, talk about each one for 6 or 7 minutes. Once you learn this process, it's not that challenging to put this together, but you will need that framework, and I think it'll be really, really helpful for you. And then finally, we have the CTA, the call to action, and this is where you're then inviting them to book a conversation with you to explore moving forward as potentially a client. Now, this is about 5 to 10 minutes. And it's not 1 minute, it's not 2 minutes, it's 5 to 10 minutes because you do want to give a bit of detail here. You do want to make it clear what's going to happen on this conversation. And so you're going to invite them to book a call with you. You're going to make sure they understand that this is a limited opportunity because they may not find this webinar again. You want to give them a bit of an idea of who is a perfect client for you so that they can start to self-qualify themselves. And then what you do is out the other end of the webinar, you're giving them an opportunity to book a phone appointment with you. This can happen on Zoom, this could actually be a phone call, but that is where you are now, because of the webinar presentation they've just gone through, they've started cold to you, never heard of you before, and now they're getting warmer and warmer and warmer, and here you're speaking to a fantastic potential prospect that might well be interested in paying you thousands of dollars to be a client. So the next piece that we need to achieve now, and this is going to take only about 2 hours, is we need to create the funnel. We talked about that a moment ago. The funnel is the mechanism that makes the webinar happen. We're going to have an incredible webinar presentation, but that's good for nothing if nobody sees it. So what we do is we build a sales funnel around it, a series of pages that get someone to register for the presentation and gives them the link to book a call and all of that kind of stuff. And this doesn't have to take weeks or months like it used to. There are now tools that have dramatically sped up the time to get these things out to market. There's a software called Funneler that me and my business partner created. It's an incredible tool that not only builds your sales funnels, but it handles everything actually. Your product sales, hosting your products, your help desk, your affiliate programs. It's an amazing piece of kit. You can actually get a free trial for it. And if you want the fastest way to build a sales funnel, there's nothing faster than Funneler. Click the link in the description box, come check us out, and maybe even grab a free trial and start playing around with it. But let's talk about the different pages that you need in the funnel and how this whole thing is put together. So until we have the funnel, all that we have at this point is our incredible webinar presentation, where if we could just get people to watch this thing, they're going to go through that whole process that we just talked about, and they're going to be ready to book a call. But we now have to house this somewhere on the internet. That's what a sales funnel is. So we're going to put a wrapper around that presentation and actually build it into a sales funnel. So that's the webinar page. That's the page now that's going to be playing the presentation. But we need a couple of pages before that. We've got not just one, we've got 2 pages before that. Now this one here is the registration page. This is where you're going to be driving all of your traffic online and saying, hey, I've got an amazing presentation. I'd love for you to check it out. Come to this page and give me your name, give me your email address, and you can register to watch this presentation. Once they register, they land at the confirmation page. And this is where they're waiting for the presentation to begin. Maybe you're going to do the webinar live and it doesn't start for a few days. Maybe you're going to automate the presentation and it happens every hour. Regardless of what strategy you use, they register, they need to wait a few moments before they can come into the webinar room. So we've got 3 pages so far, but then out the other end, what happens when they want to book a call? Well, we've got to take them to a page where they can do that, to book a time on your calendar. We need to be able to link that to your calendar so they can find 2 p.m. on Friday. I want to speak to John off the back of this webinar. That needs a funnel page and needs functionality. And then the final thing you need is a page where you can actually collect the payment. We call it a checkout page. So that once you have the conversation with them, if they want to sign up for the thing that you're now selling, we can take them to a page where they fill in their details, hit submit, and that payment has now landed in your bank account. That's a sales funnel. This is your presentation. Now this is what allows the presentation to be registered for, to be consumed, and for you to make money. So now that we have our funnel, the next step is going to take us about 8 hours, is thinking about traffic. We need to now get people to see the webinar by registering for it, and we need to find people that would be interested. So we need to talk about traffic. Now there's a couple of different options for generating traffic. We've got paid and we've got free. And there are pros and cons to both of these. We can go out there and run paid advertisements on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and LinkedIn, you name it. There's no shortage of platforms where they'll say, hey, give me your money and I'll give you some clicks to your page. We've also got free, where it's not costing us anything, but there's no shortage of platforms that say, hey, come and produce content on my platform, and over time, I might get some eyeballs on your stuff, and it is a might. So the benefits of paid is that we can get speed. If you want within the next 24 hours to get people to definitely see your webinar, then there's no doubt about it. It's guaranteed traffic. You pay a bit of money and you will get some traffic. So we get speed, we get to test quickly, we get to see what is working. The disadvantage is, of course, it's costing money. So you need to have a little bit of working capital behind you so that you can test this stuff out, and you need to make sure that you're not spending anything that you're emotionally attached to. If you're spending the money that would have put food on your table today, testing some advertisements, then that would be a big no-no. On the contrary, over here, doing free activities, YouTube content like this, growing an Instagram account and providing content there, building a LinkedIn following and doing all the stuff over there, well, that's not costing you anything, so it's much more cost effective. However, there's no guarantees of traffic, and it's certainly not going to happen overnight. So you're going to be playing the slow game. So you've got the fast game, the slow game. So you have to decide, what does your appetite lead you towards, your risk appetite. For me, if I was your coach and you said, John, I've got a bit of money, I'm happy to spend it, then I would absolutely suggest that you start here so we can test quickly, but you should also start to think about this so that you can have eventually a business where both of them are working together for you. And once we start to drive some of this traffic, here's what we're going to do for the next 24 hours is we're going to wait. We need to see if once we start to drive some traffic, are we having interest in the presentation? Are people registering for it, which demonstrates that the overall presentation that you're offering them, it is actually attractive. And then if they register, are they showing up? Are they enjoying the presentation? Are they watching through the presentation? If they are, that's a very, very good sign. If you're noticing that you've got drop off, meaning someone registers but then doesn't show up, or they show up but then they leave the presentation very quickly, that would indicate that your presentation is not very strong, that your hook and angle and overall promise of the webinar is not high enough because people aren't enjoying it. So now we need to go back and fix the presentation. We need to go back and fix where things are getting stuck in the funnel. And once we've made some of those tweaks, we now need to anticipate that any day now we might land our first client. So the next step is going to take about 7 hours, but we're going to create a client area. And this is surprisingly easy to do on the funneler software that I told you about before, but we basically want to have a membership area that is under lock and key. No one can get into this unless they have a username that you've created. So of course they're a client at this point. And once they're in, you just want to have a nice designed area where perhaps you have a welcome video that you've recorded saying, hey, thanks so much for signing up for my coaching experience. I'm excited to work with you, or thanks for signing up for my service. I'm excited to help you. Maybe you're going to go ahead and get a logo created on something like Fiverr. You don't have to spend too much money on this. There's even AI tools now that will create you a logo. Don't spend weeks on this, spend minutes on this. Get a logo, have a video, maybe you have a little profile about yourself up here with a bit of info, maybe you have some resources along here, client resources that you've been creating, and then maybe you have a start here section. And the start here section gives them just a little bit of information in preparation for that first weekly Q&A call that they're going to have. And maybe also within the start here is the link to register for the first weekly one-to-one. They can get that scheduled in with you. And maybe you have another resource down here that kind of describes what the 90-day process is going to look like. And then maybe there's some information here on how they get access to you on Telegram, WhatsApp, or whatever the case may be. So we're taking the pop-up offer and we're putting it visually in a locked membership area so that when someone joins your 4-figure coaching experience now, it feels more authentic, it feels more real, and they will feel more comfortable with the buying decision that they've just made. And like I said, Funneler makes it really quick and easy to do this, but you're probably still gonna wanna spend about 7 hours or so playing with it, tweaking it, making sure it looks really nice and that you're happy with how the finished product has turned out. The next thing you need to do, and I'd recommend that you spend about 5 hours on this, although to be honest, you can spend an infinite amount of time preparing for this, but that is preparing for the sales call itself. Okay, you need to make sure that you are prepped and ready to have that conversation with a potential client. The last thing that you want to feel like is a deer in the headlights, because you focus so much on your webinar and your pop-up offer and your client area that you get a call booked and you think, goodness me, what am I supposed to say? So you need to prepare. You need to find some resources online that are going to help you with that sales process. We've got client resources if that's ever of interest to you. But one of the key things that is most important that you prepare for in particular are objections, because it's easier to have a nice conversation. It's easier to ask someone questions and get to know them and find out what their pain is and see if it's something that you can help with. But it's at the end of the conversation when you're trying to land the sale and they might be slightly resistant to it, although it might genuinely help them, but they're just fearful, they're concerned. So they've got these objections, they've got these reasons why they don't think they should do it right now. Well, you need to be able to handle those. And I've got a great resource for you. I cover the 3 primary reasons why someone wouldn't join your coaching program on your sales calls. So you can study these, you can prep for them, and you can be ready. And again, this is my free gift to you. So click the link in the description box, tell me where to send it, and we'll get that straight over to you. Now, the next 2 steps are unique to me, my team, and the clients that we've taught this to. And this is how specifically we conduct these sales conversations, because there's a lot of different stuff out there from different sales trainers, and I find that they teach sales in a really ugly way, in a way that feels really manipulative and really pushy, and you're doing everything you can to get those credit card digits from that prospect, and you won't let them off the phone until they give them to you. I personally hate that style of sales. It doesn't work for me. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy being on the receiving end. I don't enjoy being on the delivery side either. And so I've developed a 2-call process, and it works tremendously well. And the first conversation will take about 1 hour. So at this point, we're talking about when you do finally get a prospect on your calendar, you're going to have a 1-hour conversation with them. And I call this the push call. And the push call is where you're getting to know the prospect, you're asking them questions to uncover their pain, you're deciding if you can help them, you're allowing them to ask you questions, but you push them away a little bit. You don't allow them to enroll in your program. And this is going to be contrary to what they're expecting, because typically when someone books a sales conversation, they think they're going to be sold. But because you're not selling them and you're pushing them away, you actually make yourself more desirable. There's that old adage of you always want what you can't have. And so as soon as you're a bit more standoffish, and maybe you're the one saying, let me think about it, that creates the feeling in the prospect to want to lean in towards you, and the desire for your service increases. So the way that I do it is I have the first conversation where I actually push them away. I end the conversation by saying, look, I've loved this chat. I want you to go away and have a think about what we've talked about and whether working with me would be a good fit. I want to be able to go away and have a think as well, and then we can reconvene perhaps tomorrow. This feels amazing for the prospect. They love it. And then that leads to the second conversation that you might have later that day. You might have it the next day. You might have it a couple of days later. And that's the pull call, okay? And the pull call is now you're checking back in, you're telling them that you've slept on this, you feel really good about them, that you're confident you can help them, you've done a bit more research, and you'd love the opportunity to welcome them into to work with you. And they've been thinking the same overnight, and now it's a match made in heaven and they're ready to sign up. And so at that point, of course, you pull them into your program and you sign up your very first client. The first time you do this, if your program's $9,000, which is a typical price point for the clients we work with, you've made your $9,000 in 72 hours. If you felt a little bit more nervous, you went for 4,500. You need your first 2 clients to be able to achieve that. And maybe if you were nervous still, of course, you can run your own math and price yourself just where you're happy and generate the clients that you need to hit your income and revenue goals. So hopefully you've enjoyed this so far, and this part here is absolutely critical, and it does take a bit of practice to get the push script just right, get the pull script just right, and have really high conversions and attract fantastic clients. So hopefully you've enjoyed all of this, but if you want to go deeper on this area specifically, I recommend that you do, and I got a video right here for you. So go ahead and click on that, check out that video. I hope you enjoy it. Hope you've enjoyed this one. Don't forget to give this video a like, it really supports the channel, and I'll see you in a future one.